Okay, hi guys, my name is Ayla. I'm going to be talking to you guys about Young Life. And you guys might be thinking, what's Young Life? Life is an outreach ministry for basically high school, middle schoolers, military family moms, those in inner city. Had no idea what Young Life was about a year ago. And so it was really cool how I found out. I honestly went to this church and I randomly just met this guy, and he was like, hey, why don't you check out Young Life? And I was like, Young what? And so I've not only seen like God work in that, but he's also he's also like worked in my life like as a leader just in the past like year that I've known about it. So it's really cool. I went to the church, met him, and like from last October to now, I have learned to be uncomfortable. I have learned to really dig into like community and friends, and just learn how to lead in a way that like most leaders I wouldn't have led about a year. And so the community that I've that I met, it's like they keep me accountable, they encourage me, they support me as a leader, and they correct me when I'm really not like where I'm supposed to be and what I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And it's really life-giving, the fact that they encourage you. Just like being a leader, sometimes it can be really harsh, like it's really time-consuming. It can be really energy, like you're using up a lot of energy to give to these students and just kind of do life with them. And the other leaders and just the students themselves, they really encourage you to keep pushing through, even through the tension of leading. Because like when you lead, there's a lot of tension going on. There's a lot of issues that happen. And so this book, The 4 Dimensions of Extraordinary Leadership by Jenny Catron, she says this one thing, and it just really hit me. She says, if you're not uncomfortable in your work as a leader, it's almost certain you're not reaching your potential as a leader. And so during that tension, there's a lot of uncomfortability because you don't want that tension going on as a leader. You're like, I want this to be perfect. I want this to be smooth. And so a lot of leaders, they want to kind of break away from that tension. But I think to grow in leadership, you really have to push into that tension and continue to lead through that tension. So that's kind of the reality of leading in Young Life, is there's going to be tension because you're going out to students who don't know the gospel or who don't know Jesus, and you're going out to students who go out and party and do drugs, and that's a lot of tension that a lot of us don't want to deal with, but you have to continue loving on them because that's exactly what Jesus did. Robert Coleman talks about that in his book Master Plan of Evangelism, and he talks about just being the hands and feet of Jesus and going out to where they are, not having them come to you when they're ready, but going to them and loving on them exactly where they're at. Yeah, and so just like 1 Thessalonians 2:8 says, it's not just rewarding for us to share our lives with them, with the students, but we also get to share the gospel with them. And so I just think that's really encouraging, the fact that as we're doing life with these students, that they get to see the gospel through our lives. So in Young Life, that's what Young Life, leading in Young Life is about, is just loving on these students. And it also creates a lot of growth just in yourself as a leader, because when you're going to where they're at, one, you're being uncomfortable, so you have to fight through that. And it also, I think it brings confidence as a leader, because as you're pushing through, you're just growing more encouragement and more confidence, especially when the other leaders are kind of encouraging you and supporting you in that. The community just really, really supports that, and I think is a huge part of that growth. Yeah, so as you can see, being Young Life, being a Young Life leader is hard, time-consuming, but it's also really rewarding because I've seen so many students' lives just changed by this ministry. So many students who I personally know who have dealt with depression, who have almost committed suicide, and their lives are completely changed because they felt loved and they felt pursued. And so I would just encourage you, if you don't know anything about Young Life, look into that more a little bit. So yeah, thank you.